pivotal to what that team's performance. But it looks like we are live, and the knife round has begun. And you can see it is Cobblestone as we expected. And the stabs will begin. Both teams vying for their pick, but it's one of those maps where, like, if this was you, what side would you pick?
If this was me, I would veto the map.
Not a big fan of Cobble.
But having said that, what side would I pick if I did win it? I think most teams choose CT side. I like T sides more just because I feel like it's easier to gain and maintain momentum. But I think most teams do opt for CT side just because of how the map layout is and how they can control the choke points and get the easy rotations.
And that's going to be the case here. So Renegades decide to start on the T side. Given their record, not really all that surprising. They obviously feel very comfortable on their T side. You're not going to win Cobble that many times without having a solid T side. You're not going to milk the CT side that much. So they will be starting on the T side, and it's going to be pretty much straight up armor buy for the side of TSM. Renegades doing the same thing, so no utility. It's just going to be a raw aim battle. The only thing that Renegades picks up is decoy grenades. We'll see if those come into play at all.
I think the decoy grenades are very useful as just fake flashes, and I think that's what they're going to be used for here.
Semphis at mid doors does spot them first, so he's the first one to make contact. FNS moving up from long. Tries to take them down, but he does fall. He's still sick. Finding one with the USP, but it's Twist in the back of the site. He goes down. Sick gets himself another one, so at least he's softening up the push. Coming in from Renegades, Relics on the backside flank will be the big man for the team. Semphis goes down to Ustilo, and now it's down to just Sick and Relics left alive, and Relics has been spotted by Yam watching the backside. Perfectly played. Sick's going to have to come up with the ace if he's going to clutch this one out. The lack of a kit's going to mean he's escalated in the plan. He's going to have to move a little bit faster, putting shots down but not necessarily connecting to the head. And Renegades is playing this perfectly, just baiting him out of position, constantly peeking from different angles, and eventually they catch him with a reload, and it is the Australian side grabbing the pistol round.
Grabbing two of the first kills of the round and then still being in a 1 versus 3 is very, like, demoralizing for Sick to be in. It's like one of those plays that's just like, I hate this. But interesting strat from Renegades as they just went 5 people towards A. And most teams that play this map like to split through drop room as it's very easy to overpower the USPs in this close range area. But taking the long range battle with the Glocks versus the USPs paid off in the end.
And here you can see TSM is not slowing things down. They're naturally going to go into the force. The first kill does go the way of the T side. FNS was there on top of the haystack with the CC-75, but he doesn't get anything. Azure lurking over towards the B side. He'll be the one to hear them if they decide to rotate over towards A, which they are doing through Connector. However, 2 players have lingered back. Relics is the only one in this position. He's got the armored Deagle with the flashbang as well, so they went really heavy on the investment this round, buying body armor with that flashbang. It's actually probably a good time to consider saving, and that's exactly what the call is. TSM is going to fall back and hold on to the armor and the utility that they've managed to scrounge up. Can't afford to throw these ones away. The scary threat is Azure lurking in B tunnels right now, just waiting for them to push. He's back here with the MAC-10, so it's not the greatest gun if he encounters Sick because of that head armor. But, I mean, Relics and Twist would get chewed up quite quickly. They're just setting up for exits right now, knowing that Renegades is going to go on the push. There's the first kill as Ricky comes through the door, and Relics punishes him with the Deagle. Still plenty of action developing here on this B bomb site, though. Look at Sick. He's down to just 10 HP as he's been dinked. And here comes the push from Azure coming up from the broken wall. The MAC-10 is there, having a hard time finishing off Sick. Twist is going to chime in with a nice headshot, but it is down to Sick and Sick alone. The odds of him surviving here getting slimmer and slimmer. Just 10 HP, and he still finds a nice shot through the top of the wall. So he sticks around long enough, and he keeps the Deagle in his hand, but unfortunately both of his teammates in the site did pass.
That's actually a really big save there for Sick, though. And I like how Renegades was playing that, just taking it very methodically in the 4-1 that they did. And the approach, it seems like, oh, well, you're just rushing 4 people in a certain area. But if you look at how they were approaching the situation, they had specific roles that each player had to do. So one player was checking this spot, another player had this other job to do. So it looks like it's just a B rush here.
Yeah, straight up hold W rush B. Not really surprised, knowing that it is going to be pretty much full save without that the Deagle armor coming in. That's basically all they've got. Renegades makes pretty quick work of it, only losing 1 player on the round. That was Yam. But here comes the buy up from TSM, and we'll see how much that force buy hurts them, because like we said, they bought up really heavily. And you can see Twist is forced to use a FAMAS. They have a little bit lighter on the utility. They only have 1 incendiary, which is a big problem if you encounter a fast play coming in from Renegades, and they don't have a kit either. So post-plant situation is going to be a little bit hasty and rushed from TSM. It's not going to be that methodical, slow retake, which could hurt them in the end.
Incendiary grenades and HE grenades are actually really huge on this map to stop a B push. And we'll see how that pays off for TSM.
I mean, you can see Renegades is already into the site. Sick, though. Does find the first one, gets himself the second from the sidewalk, can't get out of there in time, can't find safety behind that smoke grenade, so he will fall. Twist eating Molotov damage, Chip down to 63 HP. Semphis now up on site, finds one, looking for a second, having a hard time squeezing the bullet over top of the fountain. FNS coming in from the flank towards the broken wall. Does spot one towards stairs, but can't quite squeeze the bullet through. The bomb will be planted, so it is a post-plant situation. Nice flashbang coming out from Renegades. Azur's pushing up towards the White Rock, where he's got Semphis laid out and bare, but Semphis trades the frag. FNS coming through the door, did go down. JKS finds one, and now he can just play the bomb. He's got all the time in the world. Semphis does not have a kit. It's a 10-second defuse, and Semphis with only 6 HP is going to be a little bit timid with how he plays this one. Can't really afford to try and just stick it. He's got to bait this player out of position. JKS goes for the peek, realizes he's not defusing. At this point, JKS has already won the round, and he realizes it. Goes for the spray, so a little bit of BM, and Semphis is going to retreat with the gun.
The spray says, welcome to the clutch as well. That's just BM. But Renegade's doing very fast plays here, and to the layman, it just might be like, oh, they're just rushing out. But if you understand the economic situation here, Renegades knows that TSM 4 spot in the earlier rounds, which means that they could not afford incendiary grenades and grenades to stop a rush. So Renegades just use that information to their knowledge and advantage to just go and take that aim duel over at B. And it paid off really well. They got the entries, made it a 3 versus 3, got that bomb planted, and then played the post plant really well.
So this is the thing that I was worried about with TSM, was that force buys tend to be a popular thing at a lower level of CS, where they've been playing currently over the last couple months. I was concerned that this might be a trap they fall into quite often, and they do here as well. They force up pistol armor in the round. The first one does fall its twist, but there is a trade out, so Azur has been taken down, but the A site has been completely compromised. Renegades has full control of the site. There's already one watching the door as well. Semphis not able to convert on the kill as Yam gets the best of him with the AK. You still are finding one from inside the vent room. 6 done pretty decent damage. Could be able to find a kill, but you still are just peeking left and right with that MAC-10. And it is down to just FNS. He's coming in on the mid flank. He's got a CZ, so he might be able to find one, but a great shot from JKS shuts that down quite quickly. Renegades off to a fantastic start, a 5-0. This is often a breakpoint round, though, because you've hit full loss bonus. Usually you're coming into this round with a save. You can finally afford to get the AWP. You can get the utility you really need. You can get a kit or two as well. This will be a big round for TSM, and they're swinging for the fences with the double AWP.
The big question here would be, is Renegades going to do a fast strat like they've been doing in all the previous rounds? Or are they going to slow things down a little bit and do like proper execution with smokes, mollies, flashes, and baiting out grenades from TSM? It looks like they are just grouping up here.
I mean, it would be wise for them to play this one slow, maybe make contact towards long, but there's the push out, the flashbang comes through, Sick gets gunned down, Relics is on long, he can't manage to spot anything at all. So that one off has already been thrown away. Twist is doing what he can to try and salvage this B defense, picking off 2 players as well as he pushes towards the sidewalk. Yam coming in on the flank from the drop room, not sure if he got the call from his teammates that he's being flanked, and he doesn't. Taken down from behind, and it's back down to a 2-on-2. Renegades gaining control of the site, though, means they're going to be able to get that bomb down the Molotov towards White Rock. Forces TSM to play it a little bit slower. They've also lost the kit, which is a big problem. They're going to have to try and regather that one if possible. Usilla with a flashbang up and over. FNS coming through the drop room. Moving up towards sidewalk, now hiding in towards the site, using that smoke for cover. Semphis picks off the first one. Yam has fallen towards the broken wall. And now Usilla on the site gets the first one, goes for an inopportune reload. And it will be TSM finding their first round, finally. But they lost everything. Their economy is decimated. Their money's going to be so tight next round. Losing it would mean a full reset, double eco coming, and it would just be an opportunity for Renegades to spread the lead.
This will probably be the most important round for TSM in this entire map, just because their money's so tight right now, they can't afford anything really besides like guns and armor. That's it. No nades, no utility. And Renegades is going to know this for sure. Like, there's no way that they don't know this going into this round. So TSM is probably going to have to try to make hero plays, just look for the picks with just rifles and just straight up just peeking into the Renegades team. So Renegades should slow things down this round, look for picks with their AWP, and then also use their utility smokes, flashes, and Molotovs to kind of isolate TSM, move them out of the positions where TSM can look for picks, and then Renegades should do like a slow play on them. And it looks like Renegades have completely slowed down this round, which is a complete reverse of what has been happening the rest of the game. The rest of the game, they've been seemingly just like rushing A, rushing B, rushing A, rushing B. And now they're able to just slow down the play and not just get caught off guard by TSM's peaks.
I mean, the interesting thing for me for TSM is the fact that Semphis is picking up the AWP again. You know, in previous weeks, it's been mostly Relics that's been holding the AWP for TSM. Sick is known to pick it up from time to time as well, whether that's just being trolly and, you know, kind of outpugging your opponent or not. That's to be determined. But Relics has actually fallen into the AWP rel quite comfortably for TSM. So I'm surprised that Semphis didn't give that one over to Relics and swap out for the SMG. Ustilo's already in drop room using that smoke to prevent the CT side from really being able to do anything about it. Pop flashes in just so he can get all the way up towards the door frame. Relics on the broken wall. He's only got a UMP, so it's not the greatest of firepower. And the flashbang's also off, so a little bit blinded, and it doesn't actually connect with anyone from the side of Renegades. He gets spotted by the man in drop room. That was Ustilo. Ustilo turns back and starts shooting his teammate. Oops! But they still got the site regardless. Look at the damage dealt, but TSM can't afford to throw these guns away. So this is exactly what we had talked about. Because of the fact that they had one round with one player surviving, after losing so many, fully resetting that loss bonus, they can't even afford to go to this, even though Azur and Ricky are both below 20 HP. It's just not worth it.
And as you can see, as soon as they got the bomb planted, JKS immediately turned around and started pushing back towards T-spawn to catch any of these TSM players off. This op save from Sempus would be huge for TSM, as it would give them like a fighting chance in these next rounds, as their money is going to be reset, like you said. They're going to have to be on like probably a force buy and then an eco after that if they lose the following round. So right now, saving these guns is so crucial for TSM, and Renegades knows this, so they're chasing and hunting down these guns. They're clearing all the angles. They're going together, buddying up, so that they can ensure a kill here or a trade. It looks like Finesse and Sempus both are going to keep their guns, which is going to be huge. As we can see the money on the sides here, 2,400 bucks, 2,800 bucks. That's the most they have. The rest of them around 1,500 bucks, as they're going to call a tactical pause and figure out what they want to do, figure out what's going on, what's Renegades doing. And I mean, it's going to rely on Sempus making a hero play this round. Sempus needs to go and use that op, utilize it, and try to make some pickoffs against Renegades. But I don't think Renegades is going to give the opportunity for these picks to happen. It's just going to be too hard.
We saw in the last game, Tai Lu, Captain Mo had an op, it was 4 pistols around him with the op, and he almost actually won the round for Tai Lu. He took out 3 players and mid repeat for a 4th, ended up dying. But that play alone almost won the round for Tai Lu. Do you think that TSM should go with that approach, where like maybe the 3 players left that don't have guns buy pistols, or do you think that Sempus should try and drop a FAMAS and try and beef up the buy as much as possible? The scoreline hasn't gotten so out of control that it's like, okay, we're at 10-1 now, we have to do this. It's only 6-1, there's still plenty of time to come back. Or do you think it just makes sense? Like, what would you do if you were making the call here? Are you going to force up, or are you going to just let those guns try and do the heavy lifting and the pistols sit in the background?
There's 2 ways to approach the situation, and the major difference between Cobblestone and Mirage, where you're talking about the Tai Lu save, is that in Mirage, there's a lot more cleaner angles that you can take. You can take fights aggressively at A Palace, you can go middle, you can go push off Cat, you can pick upper B. So there's a lot of like plays that you can make there, but on Cobblestone, you're kind of restricted. So if you want to make a pick over at A, you have the middle doors or the long A hulls. And oftentimes the terrorists just sit way back behind the rock or the wagon over at the top of mid ramp, and it's hard to make a pick off there, as Renegades can just deny the pick from Sempus. And then over at B, you can hold the upper B platform, but as soon as Renegades finds out where that op is, they can isolate him and either rush him and just have flashes going off and just completely overpower, or you can just opt to just say, okay, he's over at A or he's over at B, let's go to the opposite side of where he actually is.
So it looks like TSM is going to stack all their chips in B, at least early on, and then Twist floats back towards A to try and support. That does seem to be where Renegades is going as of yet. Sick opting to buy armor to back up the pistol. He's picking up a Deagle. USPs for Twist and Relics, who are both playing this A defense. So they're basically banking on this being a B play coming out from Renegades, which is not a bad call. We've seen them go B pretty heavily throughout the majority of this first half. But instead, they're working towards A, methodically clearing out long. Not sure what to expect from TSM. They did just come out of a tactical pause, so you never know what they're going to be doing in the round. They've made contact with the op in the site, and now they kind of pump the brakes a bit and wait for the players to push up from mid. Ustilo's coming up towards the APC. He gets spotted by the pistol and actually gets bested by the USP. In the back of sight, it's Relics finding one as well. The USP is working out wonderfully. They've brought it down to just 3 players. But the 2 remaining 4-team solo mid, it's just FNS and Sick, and even though they had the rifle on FNS, he wasn't able to do anything with it. Sick finds an AK and gets 2 frags. He's now put himself in a 1v1, and he's still got time for the defuse. Yam in the site, trying to cycle around behind the hut. And now it's anyone's game as they play a bit of chicken on this A bomb site. Yam not sure which direction Sick's going to be moving in, but Sick's got to move quick. Running out of time as this bomb ticks away. Yam on 38 HP, he's just a few bullets away from death, and Sick's going to get the clutch. A huge one at that, absolutely massive. Totally upsets things that we're building back for Renegades. They find a second round. They've got to try and build some momentum though, and they've got to do it with rounds that they're not surviving with 1 player.
Yeah, that was a huge round for TSM to pick up on the back of 6 clutch. I think it was a really good read by TSM to stack towards A. Unfortunately, Semphis wasn't hitting any op shots, so it wasn't like a super clean round for TSM to win. But having that stack over the bomb site and killing all the Renegades players as they're pushing in, having to clear so many different angles, we saw Renegades players as they're running like under the heaven area to clear back APC in the back of the bomb site. You have a 50-50% chance of picking the right spot, and he picked the wrong spot. So he got picked off, gave the AK away to Sick, and then Sick was able to get the the remaining kills with the AK. So huge round from TSM to pick up. Renegades, I don't know, they were approaching the situation methodically. They wanted to clear long A, they wanted to clear mid, but in doing so, they gave away their play and they made it known to TSM that hey, we're coming A.
Yeah. Nice flashbang in here towards mid doors. No one was there to see it, though, from the side of TSM. FNS does make contact, dies immediately after picking up one. So it's a 1-for-1, and they get into this A site. I don't think they're going to be prepared for Relics, who's already on the flank coming up from long. The smoke dissipates just as he gets there. Yam, though, beats him to the punch with the AK. So it's down to 3. TSM are in a similar spot they've been in all game long. How much value do these guns bring versus the round? How long can we stick around before we decide to save? The fact that they haven't even pushed in yet says this is going to be a save again. And it's, this op on Semphis, it's just feeling almost like a burden. Every time he's got the op in his hands, they're looking at the economic situation. We can't afford to throw this op away. We don't want to give them a free op for nothing.
Right.
So we got to save. He just went right into this. I mean, he spent 59.50 into this round to get this op. Does that make sense if it's not having an impact? Because as of yet, we really haven't seen any impact from the op roll for TSM.
Yeah, so right now they're not utilizing the op well, and that could be partly because Semphis isn't really a main op, or he's just kind of a rifler who just decides to pick up the op. I don't think there's any like clear-cut offer on TSM, which is like a hard thing. So if they need an op to kind of carry the weight, they're just putting it on like whichever person wants op at the time. Like we see Relics here buying a second op in the round, but that was like a really difficult round for TSM to lose. It's a good thing that they picked up the they saved the 3 weapons, hung on to them, as if they had lost those, that would have been really big. And we saw there, actually we're about to see a B rush, so.
Yeah. 6 close to the wall, gets the first one with the AK, finds a second as well as he gets the recoil. That's a third, making a fourth. He's gonna get it. No, he gets robbed of the ace, but a massive 4K from Sick as they pushed right into his AK. And finally, an op frag comes out for TSM. We were just talking about how the ops haven't done anything. Sure, at the end, it was just kind of like the cherry on top kill with 1 player left standing, but the fact that the op presence is at least showing up here in that round is important because it shows promise moving forward. Relics has been opping actually kind of well for TSM. So I'm surprised that it's only until now that he's actually able to carry the op like Semphis has been holding it for the most part. And they're going back to that double op setup.
Relics was never really known for being like a super like, an offer that goes and changes the way the game is played out. He's usually like a much slower playing rifler, so to see him with the op you don't really like match him up against other like top star offers from the region.
Yeah. Semphis finding 2 frags, so again, the op presence now working out for TSM. It's starting to show its value. Twist waiting for Azure to push through. It's pixels separating the 2 players from spotting one another. And again, Renegades has been cut down to lesser numbers, down to just 2. Ustilo and Ricky, as they try to advance on long B, the smoke is keeping them just a little bit back. Finally deciding that they're going to dedicate to this area. They don't have anything except smoke, so they can't flash their way through here. It will be pretty much a dry approach, and there's a great flash for Sick to get at least 1. The second player there, Ricky, with the off, not able to line it up initially. He's down to very low HP. He's got to smoke himself off just to survive, and Sick's not going to let that happen. The round is snuffed out with all 5 players surviving for TSM. This is what they need to get back into this game. They need to start taking money away from Renegades, and now a pause comes in. I'd actually say this might be a tactical pause coming in from Renegades. They've actually started bleeding rounds a bit, so what was a very promising game, potentially an 11-4 half for them, is starting to look more like potentially 9-6.
100% this is a tactical pause. So we saw it a couple of rounds ago when TSM actually opted to save with the 3 players towards B. As soon as the bomb was planted by Renegades, TSM had that like clock ticking where there's 2 clocks ticking. One is the bomb's actually ticking down, and the second is they have a 3 versus 4. So if they want to go in and try to win the round, they have to make a pick within like 5 seconds of the bomb being planted to make it a 3-on-3 to even attempt to go in for the hero play and getting the defuse. Once they couldn't make that pick, they just opted, let's just save these guns and try to use them in the next round. And I think what Renegades did was they they weren't thinking about how TSM saved those weapons, and they're thinking, we've just been crushing, we've been doing these fast plays. Let's keep this momentum, let's keep running these fast plays. We're just running over TSM. Their money's not that great, but they kind of underestimated how TSM was going to strike back by holding the B-bomb site with their M4 on Sick and just shutting down that rush. So Renegades should have thought about slowing it down right in that moment, and because they didn't, it cost them 2 rounds just because of they're just too into it.
And here comes a fast play with just pistols for Renegades. They immediately lose 2, and then 1 more to follow as well. They did get a kill on Twists, but they can't even get the rifle because they fear if they drop into this area, they're both going to go down. They don't want to lose the bomb there either because then it becomes almost unrecoverable. And it should be a pretty easy round for TSM to mop up unless they make some drastic mistakes. Nades are being lofted into the window, just trying to prevent them from getting down into the drop room, where you can maybe work that pistol a little bit. You have a closer range battle. Right now they do have the top-down advantage, but no one's going to be pushing in from TSM, which is the wise approach. Wait for Renegades to come to you, because even if they try to go back towards A, I mean, FNS is already in the site. He's waiting for them. This is just a matter of time, really. I mean, Renegades is trying to do what they can, but should be a 5th round for TSM. The fact that they've already hit 5-2 with the way that this was playing out shows you the resiliency of TSM. They didn't necessarily count themselves out. I mean, they were looking at, what, 6-1 at one point? So they're right back in this game.
But it was off the back of Sick making huge plays. So one of the rounds, Sick got the 1 versus 3 on the eco round, and then the other round was Sick just holding off the B rush from Renegades. But
JKS in the window. Did find that M4. Now he's just looking to do some damage. He's not going to do any, actually. So TSM, again, these are the rounds. These are the way they need to win these rounds. Just holding on to as many guns as possible and keeping that money flowing, building up that cash, because like we were talking about earlier, the CT side can be so hard when you get into those tight economic situations. It's so hard to get out of them without giving away 2 to 3 rounds just to get your money back in check. So the more cash you can stack up, the better it will be moving forward, because if it does come to a round that they drop, they're immediately able to full buy up again.
We saw there at the end of the round, TSM was actually not contesting drop zone. They were just playing for info, and then if any players did happen to get out of drop zone, then TSM would obviously engage with the enemy. But in playing that passive information style play, they were able to just lock down Renegades and ensure that they wouldn't lose any more weapons. As we're nearing the end of the half, though, it's not super important to max out on cash, and we see all of them are pretty healthy with 10K, so it's not that big of a deal.
Sick finds the first frag on the round as, again, Azur is taken out. So, I mean, the Renegades are down a man. They're trying to split the site right now. They're kind of looking for information. They've got 2 players working long. The other guys were over towards A. It's going to be a duel that brews between Ustillo and Twist. Ustillo gets it, but Sick is there with the trade. So, again, TSM is constantly rebounding from these losses and grabbing up another kill. It does look like they're going to siphon that bomb off and head back towards B, or back towards A for that matter, from the B site. However, TSM has already put 2 players over in this area. Semphis with the AWP, and FNS is on site as well with an AK. Again, TSM is set and prepared. It's all going to come down to this initial peak, whether or not they can get the best of Semphis. Yam is creeping up on long. They never saw him, so he's moving up from long towards the plywood. Semphis finds the shot, though, and that alone should silence the round, as now support's going to arrive. Relics is on the other side of the door. He's going to molly off in front of the smoke. FNS is in sight alongside of Semphis. Semphis is low on HP. Relics now drops down, but there's that trade opportunity we've been talking about from TSM. JKS gets one, gets himself another, and now it's down to a 1v1 with the bomb about to go down on the site, and Sick's got to make yet another big play here. He's found 2 kills on the round, pushes through the smoke, and unfortunately JKS takes his time, realizing even with that little bit of clock that I have left, I've still got time to work with. Fantastic work.
That's the difference between like an amateur and a pro. Just looking at the time and just realizing you have 20 seconds. That's 16 seconds you can squeeze out and look for TSM to make the mistake there, for Sick to peak too early before you actually need to plant the bomb. So there's a few ways that you can approach the situation. JKS chose one of them, and he was just slow, methodical, waiting for TSM to make the mistake, as opposed to him trying to rush in and try to do something heroic. And it played out in his favor because TSM just peaked him 3 different 1 versus 1 engagements, and it was just so easy for JKS to pick up that round. He played it perfectly.
I mean, after all the praising we did for TSM early on with the trading, they fell apart in the end when they needed it the most. Nice nade right into the lap of Ricky. He's gunned down early as he swallows that one whole. They're going to be scraping his parts off the concrete 4 players left alive. I feel like this is a consistent storyline here for Renegades. They're always losing that early player, but it hasn't affected them too much. It's only been the rounds that TSM has been grabbing as the first half has progressed on. The aggression from Sick finds one. Yam tries to get away, doesn't get there in time. Sick looking for a gun as he's getting low in the magazine. He wasn't able to pick one up in time, so eventually he falls, but the work has been done. Azur again alone. It's 1 player left alive, and Relics gets the flash, but Azur! Ooh. What a flick! He had his back turned and he spins back and hits him with the 180. Still got the AK and he's working it.
I got whiplash from that.
That was scary. That should have never come to that situation. Here's the push from Sick that really got things going. Had he been able to find an AK here, you can see he's looking for it. Couldn't pick it up. But Azur with that shot, the flick back on Relics. I mean, the flash was there. It was a little bit behind him, so he didn't actually get blinded. But Relics peeks out. He's got his back turned. He just flicked over.
Renegade's pretty low on money here, so it'd be interesting to see what kind of a strat they would do. I think doing like a pop flash drop and just trying to like brute force through drop would be a pretty good play, but it looks like Azur's just going to put a little bit of pressure on B while the rest of the team is not going to go there.
All right, so there's the flash from FNS trying to open up on long. Semphis with no trigger control shoots at the first one through the smoke. Had he taken his time, maybe, just maybe, he could have spotted one more. There's no guarantees, though. Twist working towards the balcony, looking to stop them from getting into the site. There's the flashbang to keep him at bay, but it doesn't actually connect. Doesn't matter, the bomb has made it up. FNS finally gets the kill onto Azur, and it has been cut down to just 2, Yam and JKS. Yam in mid with the M4. Looking for something. JKS is leaping around in sight, just trying to stay alive. And now it's all up to Yam. He's gotten a kill as well, so they know where he's at. The bomb will be defused. And it will be an 8-7 half. After all the hype building up for Renegades early on, that 6-1 lead, it comes down to an 8-7. So really, you got to praise TSM for the fact that they did not count themselves out, and they brought this one back the way they did.
Yeah, I'd like to see actually on that mid play there, when they when Renegades pushed through the smoke towards mid, was that their smoke in the middle, or was that one of the CT smokes? Like, did Semphis throw the smoke down that Renegades pushed through?
I actually didn't see. I know that last round you're talking about when they flashed through and Semphis was close. I didn't see who threw it.
I'd be interested to know if that was a Renegade smoke, and then if they purposely threw that smoke just so they could pop flash and burst through it like a Stewie 2K move.
But, I mean, Semphis was in a great position. He just decides to shoot at that first target. The fear is, like, if they're leaping through the smoke like that, one's probably going to clear right, one's probably going to clear left. So you kind of make that assumption.
That's a great play there from Yam in the first round. As soon as they got the bomb plant and the bomb site control, he instantly took a good position on middle where he could not be killed by a CT rotating through the connector or heaven area. And he turned around and walked towards middle for a flank. And that was a great read by them. Sick here, huge play, getting 4, almost getting the 5th, but Relics kind of saving his life, but also robbing him of the ace at the same time. JKS with a huge play here. Obviously, 1 versus 4 that he was able to win. Sick getting 2 picks here, and only 2 bullets in his gun. That's why he reached for the AK. In another situation, I would have said, you know what? You have bullets in your M4. You have to expect someone else is going to be around the corner. Don't pick up the gun unless you know it's safe to pick it up. But in that situation, 2 bullets, you're likely not going to get the kill. There's too many angles. Missing 1 bullet just denies you of being able to kill a terrorist. So he had to reach for that AK, just couldn't.
I mean, Sick has kind of been the glue for TSM throughout this first half. I mean, you look at that 1 versus 3, that's where things really turned back around. It was the 1 versus 3 where they saved the AWP on Semphis and the FAMAS and FNS, and the rest of the guys had pistols. He had bought a Deagle armor, and he comes in, finds an AK behind APC, and picks off 3 players and defuses the bomb. After that, it was really TSM picking up. Then he had that huge 4K. Then he has the double pushing B. I mean, how many times did we see Sick finding big kills? And Semphis eventually chimed in with the AWP as well, getting a few frags here and there, and it did sort of pick up. But really, like, the story of the first half for TSM was Sick's performance alone. I mean, he was lighting up Renegades. He was a driving force to that comeback.
Absolutely. So it's not just the 1 round that he won. It's the impact that it has on the following round. So winning that round, saving the weapon, you know, dropping a weapon to his teammates, that's one of the things. But the other thing is that Renegades now lost all their weapons. They lost the round. And it's just providing momentum for TSM and removing that momentum from Renegades. And it's kind of the 2 factors that helped propel them even more. And then getting the 4K, I think it was the exact following round that he got the 4K on the Renegades team rushing. Was that the sequence of events, or was it
it was,
another round?
I believe it was the following round, because he had an AK in his hand. So yeah, I believe it was the following round. They went fast towards the B site. They pushed through the smoke, and he was right there.
Yeah, so right there, I guess Renegades losing all their members 2 rounds in a row, and then Sick just having 2 huge rounds. It's not just those 2 rounds. it caused Renegades to be reset on money. They were low money. They had to do an eco. They had to, I think that's when they called the tactical pause as well. So it's not just those 2 rounds. It was worth more than that. It was worth maybe 4 or 5 rounds. So very huge plays by Sick.
It also gets into the head of Renegades. Right? Like Renegades coming into this, they're a team with, you know, a lot of performances internationally. They might have looked at TSM and they're like, we're not so worried about TSM too much. Obviously, you always respect your opponent, but after those performances from Sick, they start to go, okay, Sick is a player we have to watch out for. Maybe we need to be a little bit more careful with how we approach rounds. If you notice that after those rounds, Renegades started playing a lot slower. They started trying to like kind of read the A and B side at the same time. They were playing split attacks. They weren't necessarily like, let's just rush B, which is early on was like the call, like we'll just rush B over and over and over again.
Well, it's not just respecting Sick, it's also just understanding how CT typically split up on their rounds, and just using that knowledge and also the knowledge of what weapons the CTs have. They're probably with USPs or pistols. We can abuse them in these certain locations. But as soon as they have ops and rifles and utility, we got to slow down.
There's the first kill coming in from Yam over towards Long A. Ustilla finds one, Azur finds another, and they're getting picked apart here. All of these kills pretty much separated across the map. No trade opportunity on any of them. Relics dies as the last man standing. A pretty much shut down round from Renegades, trying to wipe away the bad taste in their mouth from the previous half. As they grab that pistol, they'll be able to push themselves forward to a much more manageable lead. And however, you know, TSM doesn't get the bomb plant, so you know what's coming. It's Tech 9 armor. Probably fast towards B.
I was talking in the first half about how Renegades was choosing to do an A rush on their pistol round, and most teams choosing to do some sort of drop split because it's just easy to overwhelm drop with Glocks against USPs. And right there, I say it, and TSM tries that drop split, but Renegades is like, you know what? You guys can go and have drop. We don't care. We're going to sit back in the bomb site with USPs. We're going to pick long B. We're going to take these long-range engagements, give you drop. You can't do anything with it, so enjoy it. And Renegades was just able to pick that up so easily. But 5 SMGs here from Renegades. This is, I guess, the way the meta is going. The UMPs have such amazing armor penetration right now, so basically just an automatic pistol. And pistols, as we know, are really powerful in this game.
I mean, it's bang for your buck. You know that you're going to get the most money with the SMG, and it's also one of the cheaper SMGs, and it has the highest armor penetration, so it makes sense even if you're facing off against a Tech 9 armor. The danger, though, is that the UMP, with its low fire rate, you can get bested in a lot of these pistol armor rounds, so it can be a little bit scary. It's all about keeping your range long enough that the SMG is still effective, but not so long that you're not, and getting yourself far enough away from those Tech 9s. Looks like they're going to be working towards this B site a little bit slower than you would expect given the buy coming out. They don't really have much to work with outside of the smoke in Semphis' hands. FNS flies in the drop room, and he's down, as is Semphis, so that's the smoke out of the hands of TSM. They won't be able to chuck that one out. It's down to just 3 already. Yam dives up onto the wall, into the Molotov, no less, so he bakes a bit before Twist gets the headshot with the Tech 9, and now they're going to try and fall off, but they've already got one watching the flank. JKS is going to get a freebie. They're all holding knives. Sick is there with the Tech 9, but what can you expect from this man? It's a 1 versus 3. He's found himself a UMP, but does he even have the time at this point? Down to just 16 seconds. He has to make a decision soon, and the decision's likely to save the UMP and take it into the next round.
It looks like he's actually just going to jump out drop and then force an engagement, so he's going to die and then get the money for the next round. I don't know if that would be the smart play, if it would be smart to just hang on to the UMP and try to make something happen in the following round, but obviously right now he's more concerned about not this round but the next round. He wants to have like a proper buy, and I don't know which would have been the smarter play. Like right now he's gonna have, you know, enough money for AK and armor and everything next round, but if he was able to pick up a couple of UMP kills this round, maybe he would have had the money anyways and had a chance at winning the round.
Exactly. So it's hard to say. You're kind of balancing both. There's not really a bad decision either way. You're kind of in the same spot. Will be pistols coming out from TSM, and they should get cut down pretty quickly over towards this A site. Good work from Sick and Semphis to combine on one. They find themselves another, so they've actually made this manageable. However, now they haven't gotten the ground necessary. Taking the time to take those fights has allowed Renegades to rotate into position. Ustilla going to pick off one from the APC with the MP7. Azur towards the door, waiting for Semphis to peek out. He's only got 2 HP behind the plywood. Very little keeping him on this earth. It's a 3-on-3 though, and Ustilla's in the same boat. 4 HP on him. Azur's getting close with that UMP, so the pistol should be able to get cut down quickly. But there you go, Ustilla falls. Azur peeks up and finds 2. Semphis in the site does not have the bomb, so he's going to have to jump up and try and make a play, and he's so low on HP. Once he starts sending out shots, they know exactly where he is. Would have been great if they could have gotten a bomb plant here to boost the money in the next round. but they do drop it. It will be an 11-7 right now for Renegades.
I think Renegades is actually trying too hard to force engagements right now, and it's going to cost them in the long run. We see them, even though they're winning these rounds, they won this round, they won the round previous as well, they're losing too many players, and that's going to catch up to them. If they're not careful, TSM can really easily reset their cache. We saw 2 members alive this previous round and 3 people before that. And if TSM is able to pick up a round, what it's going to cause Renegades to do is it's going to reset their money even earlier than that they might hope. And on CD side, you need to maintain that momentum. The economy is just so tough. You're already spending more money on buying a kit. The M4 costs more than the AK.
The Incendiary costs more than the
Incendiary,
Molotov.
yeah.
It is a delicate tightrope walk with the money on the CT side. They do get that opening pick, though, so that helps things a little bit here as Ricky pushed up on long A and spotted Twist. So gunning down one of the rifles early, preventing the side of TSM from having the full utility necessary to go for a take, because I believe he was still holding nades at that point. It was very early in the round. FNS working back towards the bomb position, joining the rest of his team. As Relix is waiting to go into the drop room, the rest going towards the broken wall. Yam is on the stairs, playing this perfectly. There's the flashbang up into the air that allows them to jump off and go towards the sidewalk. Senfis gets spotted from behind before he can, and that's a huge 2 kills coming in from Yam. He's still in position here as well with time to reload. They can't even force the fight, so he puts another magazine into the M4, tries to stick around a little while longer, eventually falls to FNS. Still is going to pick off one. Relic's now left alone on the site, or on Broken Wall for that matter, as he picks off Azur. He does chuck a flashbang out. I don't think he's prepared for the flank coming in either. He's already got JKS coming in from the backside, but there's the AWP coming in from Renegades as they grab the first buy round. That's a big one for them to try and cement the CT side.
I want to talk about Yam's play there. So as soon as Renegades got that man advantage, there's no reason to give that away. So Yam's positioning on the stairs, he was positioned so that he could make a play if TSM was actually committing and executing on that bomb site, but he never peeked into the long halls at B unnecessarily, and that's a really smart play for him to do unless he's forced to engage. So in other words, unless TSM throws a Molotov at him, there's no reason for him to peek. And because he was playing passive and conservatively, he was able to pick up 2 kills. But here we see a B rush.
Fast play coming out from TSM as they try to work the pistols to their strengths. Relix is going to find 3, one of them being his own teammate. Unfortunately, it does come down to just Twists, and they haven't cleared out the infamous chicken coop. Ricky's there with the AWP, and he should be able to spot him as he tries to leap up into the smoke. Twist has a hard time. They do say we can't jump. But he finds the bomb. He's trying to get it back towards the site if possible. Both players are just waiting for him. It's on Broken Wall, so theoretically he could try and grab it and run back towards A, but they'd never really let him do that. Still plenty of clock left, though, so he can work the mental game right now. Renegades maybe questioning where he's at. Almost gets JKS, dinking him just over the top of the White Rock, but it is Renegades now grabbing their 13th, and they're getting ever closer to that finish line. TSM, all that work they did in the first half is starting to fade away.
And if you listen closely there, you could actually hear Mo shouting chicken coop.
I don't think that's how he said it, though. I think he said it a little bit differently. I think there was an adjective in there, potentially.
Maybe. I don't
Maybe.
know. Is it stream appropriate?
I don't believe so. It's a
Okay,
family show.
I'll avoid doing that.
So here comes the buy, and this is a really big buy round for TSM. This kind of sets the possibility moving forward for them to bring this one back. They can't allow Renegades to double them up on rounds. Not only that, the money situation is just getting into that constant force buy territory on your T side, which, yeah, you can make it work, but it's not ideal. Ricky playing a game right now with the man in mid. You can't actually see him. Obviously, X-Ray giving us a little bit more. You can see there when there's no one there, there's not really a crack between the door and the wall. So you couldn't actually spot that player. You would have had to fire through the door.
And very slow play here from TSM. They know that Renegades is running at least one up. They don't know that there's a second one. And then they also know that Renegades is opting to buy a lot of incendiary grenades. So TSM just applying pressure on A. And actually, you can see there's 2 players towards A. So the rotation from TSM back to B is going to pay off in their favor as they were able to go for 1-for-1. There's still just under a minute left in the round. So using this information, Twist is going to lurk out A. Unfortunately, not make anything connect. So TSM's just going to double back, hit B again. They know that 2 players are towards A from Renegades because obviously the early pressure in the round is going to pull a second player there.
TSM getting entry into the site, though, so they've softened up the defense and they've allowed themselves to get control and get that bomb down. There's still the looming threat of that AWP in the hands of Ricky, who's in drop room right now. JKS working with an AK and a Molly. This actually wouldn't be a terrible time for them to consider saving. I know that you've got money to throw away, but you also don't want to just give away an off. It's not necessary. But there's a great shot from Ricky to try and make this retake possible. He's going to have to do a lot more, and FNS is trying to hold an angle for him. They're running out of time as the bomb is ticking away. They've still got a Molotov to work with and the kit in the hands. There's the molly chucked out, but it loses the life of JKS, and now it's Ricky left to go on the 1v1, and Sick just puts himself in a perfect position to spot him. He knew that he had to run out into the site to try and have any chance at defusing, so TSM grab it, and now look at the money. Renegades doesn't really have any cash despite the flurry of rounds that we've seen for Renegades. They're already at a point where they're going to have to drop pistols just to get these other guys something to work with in the round.
And right there, as soon as we saw that op pick from, I think it was Ricky using the op, getting that pick, making it a 2 versus 2 from 2 versus 3, that was their go-ahead into proceeding with trying to attempt the clutch. And unfortunately, his teammate ran out with a grenade in his hands, a Molotov, I believe it was, and his teammate got picked off. Had his teammate not just been out in the open, or had Ricky been covering by just posting up with his op on that angle, perhaps we could have seen a clutch win from Renegades, but as soon as it was down to 1 versus 1, I think in that situation, it's better to just say, you know what, I'm just going to cut my losses, take this off, and save. Just because there's so many angles or positions that he'd have to clear out before finding out where the enemy is. And Sick was just sitting there waiting and peeking out at E-Box. And Ricky, you could see, he just ran out with his knife, not expecting that. He was expecting, you know what, I have to go to the bomb site, I have to tap the bomb and pull the terrorist out to peek me. Unfortunately, Sick was just saying, you know what, just come out. There's so many angles that you have to clear anyways just to get out of this 2x4 doorway. So I'm just going to sit here and wait for you and probably get the kill.
Yeah, I mean, the truth is Sick knows where he is. He
Yeah.
has no idea where Sick is.
Absolutely.
So they already know where the op is at. There's really not much he can do in that situation. Even though he swaps out for an AK and tries to do the 1v1 with that, it does actually end up costing Renegades quite a bit. So it will be pistols coming out, except for Ricky, who's picked up the Zeus, hoping to channel the Zeus for a kill here. I'm trying to see where he's at. He's right on the other side of the door in mid, just hanging back by the barrels, or the casks, if you will. Usilla with a pistol on little balcony on long, waiting for the push to come through. It's armorless pistols right now from Renegades, so it's a pretty passive approach. They did have players that probably could have purchased armor, but they decided not to. Azure makes contact and puts a headshot down as well. You still have dimes off the wall. They're dropping like flies, though. The Zeus did not get anything going in mid, and neither did the pistols. A lot of damage has been done. Relatively soft targets here with Relics on 9 HP and FNS on 4. JKS hits the head, even though it wasn't entirely necessary. But 4 players survive for TSM, which is a great way for them to try and build up some of their own cash. And Renegades is still in a tight spot with their money. So there's probably that question being laid out right now. Like, do we buy here and have the 2 guys on SMGs? And that's what they decide to do.
Yeah, but they have 2 ops behind it, so they're definitely going to play aggressive with these ops, look for a pick, probably see one towards the middle or upper A looking for a pick there, another towards B, long B looking to see if TSM's looking for picks of their own, try to equalize it that way. But that hurt me to see what happened there with Ustilla just jumping off from his position. His teammate was perfectly baiting the enemy team into Ustilla's position, and then he just jumps off trying to flying Superman with the P250. And unfortunately, that misplay might have just been the difference between winning that eco and losing it. And it's just a small misplay like that which can cause a big impact in the round.
It's not even winning it either. It's like, okay, well, what's the point of our eco round? Are we really trying to win, or are we trying to cause damage to the T-side economy? Probably trying to cause damage, which their money hasn't really fully rebounded. And you saw how much damage they did anyway, even without that kind of mistake play from him diving off. So had he stuck in that position, yeah, they could have done a lot of damage, but they actually might have been able to potentially take the round, because that could net you 2 kills, and then you still have the player floating stairs that can come up and tag team with him, and you have a great combo with the 2 pistols in that position. Renegades, again, finding the opening kill, and it's by way of the AWP, which has been a constant problem for TSM. The AWP has been so good for Renegades. They're gonna find a frag back as Azure was in drop room. The Molotov comes out, but the smoke is just a little bit off. Yam uses it, peeks out, catches Sick, and he avoids the damage from the molly as well. Look at the damage dealt to Relics too. He's down to 8 HP, FNS on 37. They're gonna try and push past the smoke. Yam is waiting with an off angle over top of the boxes. A risky play given that the AWP was at lethal range of the pistols and the AKs. Semphis hits a great shot though, finds one. Relics falls, and so does Semphis. It's around going the way of Renegades, and that's really worst case scenario if you're TSM. You just took a serious hit on your money.
Yeah, that's one of the things that you want to do on eco rounds. Like, a lot of the time you're probably not going to win the round, but if you can get enough kills on players, not just damage to players, but like you remove them from the round and force them to rebuy an AK, force them to rebuy armor, that's $3,700 that they have to dedicate into just repurchasing the basic utility. And then, you know, the rest is through grenades. So if Renegades is able to get those kills, like right now, we see TSM, they have 2 pistols, an op, and then a Galil buy. That just shows how little money they have. And right here, you see 3 smokes, a Molotov, and 2 flashes between all 5 of the players. If they were able to, if Renegades was able to kill TSM players in the round with the P250s, right now we'd be seeing, maybe no op, or we'd see 1 rifle instead of 3.
Yeah, it'd be a completely different round. So now you can kind of see, like when it comes to the economy in this game, it's a long game. It's never the short game. The short game is obviously a part of it, but the long game is what matters for most teams. And if they had picked up that pistol round, or if they had just picked off maybe 2 or 3 players in that pistol round, things would have been different. Look at the flank already coming in as well. Ustilo's going the long way. He's back towards T-spawn, actually, watching the armory for the push. But it's not going to come through. They're coming in from A, and they fly out, and they catch the best of JKS, who falls. Azur is there with the trade out. Ricky's looking for him, doesn't turn back in time, somehow survives as he spins his way out, and he's going to get one from the broken wall. Great shot. Semphis struggles to line it up. That's devastating if you're TSM. You spent every penny you had coming into that round. 2 rounds of lost bonus doesn't give you a whole lot. It's $1,900. So they basically have nothing to work with here. I mean, that round was the round that decides the game, essentially. They're going to have to work with a force buy pistol armor here to try and make it go any further.
Yeah, and that was a great read by Renegades. They actually went aggressive on the B halls, which gave them full knowledge of what TSM was doing. TSM going a little bit too slow and not having any map controller presence. It allowed Renegades to get that rotation, flank up, and then stack 4 players towards the A bomb site. So before TSM even did anything towards A, there's already 4 Renegades members in so many different angles that it's just almost impossible for TSM to actually pull out that round win.
Here comes the play from TSM, though, fast with the pistols, and it seems to be working out, at least initially. The rifles start chiming in, though, from the Renegade side, and it's down to just 1. Relics is the last hope for the side of TSM, and he will get bested. So Renegades, it was a little bit scarier than maybe we would have anticipated, but they will walk away with the W on Cobble. Like we had said coming into this, Cobble was one of their better maps. Compared to TSM, it was one of their worst maps. So to look at that team stacking up, we would have expected a much more one-sided score, which we initially had with the 6-1 lead. But TSM actually made it a little bit more respectable.